We've had this amazing journey of, and I don't want to just say fitness, but improvement with Grace. Grace Takoyanwit, she's our powerlifting, power building, almost like a life coach over at CrossFit Hita.
If, let's say, for example, you decide to train on your own and you want to give extra effort on that day, you know, or maybe you want to work on something different too, all these different things. And it'll be interesting to see the approach that you guys take towards this journey.
I want people to know, I think in this journey you're going to see that here are 4 people who work, who are aging, who have a lot of other things to do. And a couple of whom didn't care about this fitness thing at all, but you know, our lives have improved. We've become better people because of it.
The reality is, especially with folks our age, we have a lot of responsibilities. I always say it, life happens.
Danielle wanted to ask you, and Johnny's the one that pushed her to ask you.
But okay, so the issue is the video. So
how dare you guys? I just want to say this, how dare you guys? I was fucking ready to work tomorrow.
I think we don't need them to come in, but it's just the...
Wait, Charlie, can you go to the bathroom again?
Are you helping on that?
No.
I was addicted to meth for over 10 years. So everybody knows that I've been sober going a little over or more than 3.5 years now. So, you know, a lot of changes have been happening. I had to revamp this past summer, right before Grace's class, I had to revamp my whole life. I had a family, I had a home, and over the summer, it was taken from me.
Now, Johnny's journey in this was, it was very personal, and she didn't even mean for it to be. And none of us actually really understood that it would be. But Johnny went through quite a bit last summer, and she went on a family vacation that was very well deserved, and it was something that brought her family together. But there were things that happened in her family, and so the family that she had known for years and years and years, you know, part of that ended, and it's not even just an emotional struggle that she went through, but I think it was also attitudinal, because it wasn't just a fleeting emotion that happened, it was an entire change in her life. And so there was a lot of distraction there. And you know, this company that we built together, it has needed us to be there. And so when that happened to Johnny, you know, she was understandably withdrawn, not just from the company, but from life almost. And I could see it every day. She struggled so hard to not be withdrawn, to be part of the world, to be part of the light, to help make a difference. However, she could, no matter how distracted and torn down she was by what happened. And it was just something that was hard to see, and knowing that there really is nothing that you can do except to be there. In the moments we're counted, it's hard as a friend, and we're also very close here.
Got it. Pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it. Lock it up, lock it up, lock it up. Drop it. PR 200,
baby! I definitely knew she was interested. She was capable of it. And within the first class, I knew mentally she wanted to be there. And I knew she was definitely like hyped to try. With Johnny in the beginning, what we had to do is, since she couldn't squat a proper squat, we had to make her do several sets with either very light bar or the PVC pipe, or she actually had to squat using a box. One of the things I'm proud of Johnny is the fact that she never gave up.
I don't think she's ever had anybody as open as I was. So I told her what I've never been healthy. You know, these are the things that I've endured, and that was because of my personal choices. So we went over the plan. So every day that I went, and I missed 3 weeks of this 8-week class because I caught COVID in the middle. I caught COVID I had to stay out for 2 weeks. And then I took 1 week off because I hurt my back during this training. And so out of the 8 weeks, I really only trained five weeks. And I did the best out of our group. Just had to say that.
There were moments where I wanted to scale her back and say, why don't we take the weight off the bar? Maybe we do this, maybe we do that. And she would always say no. She would say no and she would fight me. She and Danielle were partners, right? And when Danielle would sometimes give up, and not that I would give up on either of them, but I'd see it from a coaching perspective and I kind of scale back a little bit. Johnny would step in and she would give Danielle words of encouragement. You know, babe, you could do this. Focus. And she would give her all these little, cues that she could say. The support that she gives everybody is genuine and honest, and I love it.
I suppose if we were to talk to people who have never gone to the gym, or maybe they're used to some sort of other fitness environment, maybe how I would explain it is this. I was always one of those kids who in PE class, I hated going to PE because I was not athletic. I did not know how to dribble a basketball, or much less make it into a basket. I wasn't good at volleyball. I just wasn't, I didn't feel comfortable around sports. And years ago, I got into going to the gym, but it took a while. And I understand the apprehension that people have.
With Troy, it was different. I knew he had the discipline. I would observe him in the CrossFit class, and he was showing up at the 5:30 class, and I knew he was doing other things outside the gym as well. And with the first class, he paid very, very close attention to my instruction and the details. And every time he executed a movement, I felt he was very thoughtful about what he was doing. When I talk about the discipline, I always say that you really think, or he really thinks about the movement. He doesn't just squat to squat. He squats and he makes sure that the setup is correct, that he's moving properly, and doesn't really overthink the process. I definitely can tell that there was a fear in the beginning. And one of the things that I did, and I don't know if Troy remembers this, was we took baby steps. And it wasn't in the sessions, it was actually during class. I would watch him, and I do my best to read body language, and I could definitely tell that every single time he approached the bar, there was some hesitation. Ooh. And I would say, well, what'd you feel? And that goes back to me asking the question, what does it feel? And with any injury, it's very scary to move past it. And one of the things that he did was we took the baby steps, and instead of making the bigger jumps, we made the smaller jumps to get to the bigger jump. And then once we passed it, I'm like, well, did you feel your back? Did you feel anything? And oftentimes the answer was no. Or I would say if he felt like a little bit of a, let's just say a tightness, I would say describe what you feel. And I'm not saying it was a quick fix, and there were still moments, especially as he started going over 350 pounds on his deadlift. I could definitely see there was like, oh my God, am I going to do this? And he still approached the bar
with more confidence. And I already told him, I said, look, if you lift it, great, you lifted it. And if you didn't, at least you tried.
I have always struggled with my weight. It's the primary reason that I've gone to the gym on and off since I was 18. One of the reasons why I was a drug user on and off since I was 18 is because I have the propensity to be way fatter than I am right now. I can, I gain weight very easily, and I love myself some fat jokes, but when they are directed at me, I'm able to laugh. Yes, and if I'm laughing at myself for being fat, then there is a problem. You know what I'm saying? And so, yes, this, part of this journey for us continues to be battling the bulge, because at our age, and this is another part of it, is our age. We're 3 out of the 4 of us are in our 40s, and so, you know, fitness becomes more of a journey. Danielle's part of this journey is probably the one that will inspire the most people, and I'm excited to see how many other people are inspired by this story. Now, she's my sister, and she has gotten into some messes, and it's not because she's this troublemaker. It's because life has been pretty hard for her, and over the past couple of years, she has done many things to drastically improve her life and the lives of her children. And being part of Grace's powerlifting class probably tied it together and cemented it for her. There has just been this extraordinary organizing of her life and the strengths in her life under this class. And what I mean by that is that, you know, all of these things that she's wanted to work on, from, you know, her commitments to a job, to her wanting to be with her kids as often as she can, wanting to provide for them, wanting to be an independent woman. These things all kind of came together. Before, they were just these monumental things to accomplish for her that sometimes got her frustrated. And when she gets to a point of, you know, massive frustration, that's when she turns to drugs. But over the past couple of years, she hasn't. And that has been a source of frustration for her, was she would get to these points where she's trying to do all of these things at one time, and sometimes it doesn't work that way. Well, when she got into this class and she started to become physically stronger, her foundation became literally physically stronger. It sort of tied all of that stuff together so that when things did hit, when parts of that equation in her life that she wants for herself didn't always match up, she knew, and it had something, I know it had something to do with this class, that she could move forward, that she'll fight the battle on the next day, that all she has to do is close her eyes and understand that there's a new day coming and there's a new morning. And you could see that growth and development in Danielle. And like I said, it's been a pretty inspirational thing to see. And I'm excited to know how many more people are inspired just because of it. There's the wobble.
When you're recovering from drug addiction, from meth, you know, in my active addiction, I was very spontaneous. I did whatever and whenever I wanted to do anything, and I didn't have any kind of structure.
I'm so proud of you.
The wobble came out of nowhere.
In recovery, they say it's very important to have a routine, to have scheduling, and that helps. That just helps me to have a more rigid schedule, you know, so that I have something to work around. Because so at this time I know I have this, and at this time I know I have this, and it really gets me going in the day. Whenever I was on drugs, you feel like, I felt like Superwoman, right? So I did all kinds of things while I was on drugs. I was very active, but going into the powerlifting class, I wasn't prepared. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I didn't realize really how weak I was. I think that confidence has a lot to do with it, right? And I wasn't confident. I was very nervous. Going into it, I was like a beginner.
I felt she was a little bit more shy. She definitely didn't have the confidence that Johnny had. I think those two, as training partners together, helped each other along during the 4-week period. And the biggest difference that I saw between Johnny and Danielle is that when I say lack of confidence, one of the conversations I've had is know how your body moves and performs. And I could definitely tell she needed to understand how she needed to do that. Like, for example, when I would say, I need you to engage your core a little bit, tighten, it was a little bit of an adjustment because most women just don't know how to do that. As the weeks progressed, I definitely saw that her confidence was building up, and who she was in my intro to powerlifting class to where she is now, two totally different people.
She's come a long way.
Let's talk about Eric. He's going to be the only person in this whole thing who is not going to give an interview because his entire thing is he's the production guy and he is not going to say anything. So I am going to pseudo punish him by saying everything that I want to say about him, and he is not going to say anything in his defense. I'm just kidding. I'm not. But, however, I will say that this was all Eric's idea. This was not my idea. This going to Grace's class and doing the powerlifting class, I was one of those people who was insecure. I was deathly afraid of it. I was like, I can't deadlift. I have a back injury from years and years ago, and the chiropractor told me that I just should not deadlift anymore. And so it has been, I want to say, 12 years before this year since before last year since I deadlifted. And now I can deadlift like a whole bunch because of what Grace has put me through. Anyway, I digress. So it was Eric's idea. He was the one who said, let's do this. And, so I was a little apprehensive at first, but then, Eric, I care about him very much. And, when he started with this company, he was already overweight. But because of the stress that this company and, starting up this news brand and creating something from scratch has put on him, he gained quite a bit of weight. It was to the point where he would work up, he would just be sitting down and breathing, and it sounded like he was snoring. He was just so big. And even his mom would call Johnny and me, and without Eric knowing, and she would ask us, please, take Eric with you somewhere and see that he exercises. And so, when Eric said that he wanted to do the powerlifting thing, how could I say no? He wanted to exercise. So this entire thing was Eric's idea. And at first, I did it just to go along with it. But it turned out to be a darn good idea. And where Eric was in the beginning to where he is now to where he is going, it is so inspirational.
Eric was definitely shy. I think he wanted to do it, but he was definitely out of his comfort zone. The first class, I think I heard him say several times that he wasn't sure if he could make it. But he did, and he pushed through. And by the third class, he told me he was excited to come to class, and he just loved it. I definitely knew that, not that we had our work cut out, but I think he's just a couple years older than me. And I asked him what he did, and this was all new to him. He's exercised before, he's hit the gym before, but he's never really had someone coach and guide him the way that I was going to be there for him and the team. I loved the fact that his goal was a pull-up, and I was honest. I said, well, I can't teach you that because I don't even do a pull-up. However, I felt that maybe we couldn't get it done in the first 8 weeks, but I don't see why it couldn't be either a short-term goal to get him to that level. I told him what I could do is I could get him stronger, I could get him more mobile, and I could get him more, well-versed in the gym so he could do movements on his own. But I'm very realistic as a coach. I get people coming telling me what they want to do, and I know the time frame. If you don't have the discipline, it's not going to happen. If you have the discipline and you're going to the gym but you're not eating, it's not going to happen. If you only pick and choose what you want to do for your exercises, it's not going to happen. And if someone says, this is what I want, I know I've viewed what it takes to get to do a pull-up. And do I think he has the capability to do it? Absolutely, yes. Was it going to happen in those 8 weeks? No, because we needed to get him stronger. We needed to change his diet. And, unfortunately, he missed several weeks because of COVID. But when he came back, I felt more empowered and more focused on his goals.
Eric would talk all the shit he wants in between sets when Grace is making him go from one place to another and telling him to hurry up, Eric, hurry up. And Eric will mumble something under his breath, and Grace will say, what was that? Eric would say, oh, I love you, Grace. I love you, coach. I love everything that you're telling me to do. Funny stuff. So I admire that about Eric. I admire that, it didn't matter to him that there was this woman telling him how to lift things, how to be physically fit, how to be physically better, and how to adjust his lifestyle. She would even talk to him about drinking, about his eating habits. She was very attentive to him, and I think it was because Eric literally had the most to lose. And he literally has lost the most. He's lost the most weight. And he's probably gained the most confidence out of all of us. He's gained a whole lot of energy. He no longer sounds like he is struggling to breathe when he's sitting down just working. He does not even sound like he's struggling to breathe when we're walking around out in the field. And now he can walk up and down this 10-story building a couple of times. And it's like, that was nothing, Very proud of Eric.
It was a conversation that we had after a class, and I invited you guys to come and join me. I told you that we were launching a new class for the new month, and you guys showed up the following week. One of the things that I learned from my very, very first powerlifting coach was I want people to love it. I want people to understand it, and I want them to be excited to come to the gym. I don't know if I would have been excited if he said, go get a $200 belt, go get $100 shoes, go do this, and that out of the bat. I'll be like, that's a lot of money to spend on something that I don't even know if I want to do this for a long time. As for supplements, it's the same thing. I will recommend based on lifestyle and my experience, but I will never require anyone to take anything, especially if they don't want to. I often refer them to a local supplement shop, and because they have more expertise than I do.
So in my experience going to the gym, I've had a personal trainer before when I was in my 20s, and I wanted to learn how to convert more of my fat into muscle. And it was, I learned a lot from my personal trainer at the time, but at the time in my 20s, that was, some 20 years ago, that cost $35 a session. And, right now with Grace, we see her 3 times a week, and she gives us training on the major compound movements. Our chest with the bench, our legs with the squats, and the full body movement with the deadlifts. So 3 distinct types of exercises per week. But if I were myself to get a personal trainer at rates that were going 20 years ago, that would have been $105 a week, or what is that, $420 a month. and there's 4 of us. That would have cost us $1,600 a month. Now, you know, you make your schedule with Grace at CrossFit Hita, but you will not be paying anywhere close to that amount of money. It really is. It's not. I don't want to call it cheap, because the services we're getting are not cheap. These are quality services from the only certified powerlifting coach on this island, and probably the most decorated and certificated. Is that a word? Certificated. I just made that up. Certified. Look at me. Look at me. Coach on this island, and so we should be paying top dollar for this stuff. But I don't know. Maybe Grace is not a greedy person. I know she loves what she does, and I think she's just trying to make it affordable for people, because that's just how much she loves fitness, and it is such an affordable thing for, you know, people who are not even in the upper rungs of the middle class, maybe just the lower rungs of the middle class. So we can afford this stuff, and it is worth the investment, you know? It really is. And when you think about the food is more expensive than this training that we're getting, and this is world-class training that we're getting, and it's helping us to develop not just physically but as people more than we ever thought that it would.
I always recommend the first place you guys got to go, shop local, support local. Over in Derrida is Health City. It's not too far down the street from CrossFit Hita, and I love them. They have premium grade supplements. Their staff is very knowledgeable, and they know their stuff.
One thing that we're pretty proud of here at Kandit is how we support these small businesses, and it's because we started as a small business, you know? We started with no one wanting to have anything to do with us, and then as we grew, you know, more people gave us a chance, and so we want to give that chance to other people as well, to other small businesses. And one of the small businesses that we started to patronize was Health City, and you know, the people there are really nice. On top of that, right, they just have all of these products that have been useful to us. Grace has helped us to understand what products are good for us and what products that we need to use. And so we have the creatines, the glutamines, the proteins that we get over there. There's this shake that they call a mango bango. It's our favorite thing to get right after a workout. It's filled with like amino acids and glutamine and all that stuff. Just stuff to help build our muscles and preserve our gains and help us to recover from a hard workout. And the workouts that we get from Grace are pretty intense. They're not like the kind that's scary intense, but the kind when you're done, it's like, what just happened, and why do I feel like I need to go to sleep right now, or get a strong cup of coffee from a Siga or something like that, right? So Health City is where we go, and it's right next door to CrossFit Hita. It is also where we went to measure our fat content or muscle content. It's something called an in-body. And the first time I stood on that in-body, I thought, jeez, how am I still alive? I got a lot of fat. I got a lot of fat, all packed into this, what 5'3" frame. Eric had a lot of fat. Eric, but and Eric, and the second time we got on that in-body thing, Eric was happy and he was proud, and I was proud. We were all proud. We all lost fat. We all gained muscle. You know, we all look better. And to me, that's the most important thing, the looking better part. That's why I'm continuing. But Health City helped us to gauge that. And so it's a pretty cool place to go.
I've never thought to exercise. I just thought I didn't gain too much weight after getting sober. And I felt okay the way I was.
With Johnny, it's not about the weight. It's about how do we get her more solid and more stable, as well as more mobile, so as she gets older, she just moves better. When I sent them to Health City to do the in-body scan, In the beginning and the end, there was a moment where she did miss a couple of weeks because of COVID and an injury. However, it still showed that she gained at least 2 pounds of muscle. She didn't really gain any fat. It was more of increasing her water as well as her muscle. With Troy, I already told him, I saw him. I made the decision during class that I felt that he could be a competitive powerlifter. I swear to God, I think he puts me on this pedestal, but I want him to see that we're close in age, and it doesn't matter that I'm a female. I feel that he can do the same thing. With Eric, what I want him to do is I want him to just look at himself and love him exactly how he is, and realize that he can still put his friends and family first, but if he wants to make it to the 60s, 70s, 80s, and be there for his family, that we need to change the way he views himself, as well as food and just overall wellness. You could tell that Danielle was shy. Her diet, I noticed when I actually asked her to keep a food diary, and she's definitely a snacker. So if you actually look at the caloric consumption of what she ate through the day, they aren't a lot of calories. I would call them empty calories. So yes, she was eating, it wasn't fueling the goal, and she wanted to get toned. So in order to get that level, just like Johnny, she needed to add at least 1 or 2 more days of more lifting, and then dialing in her diet to get tighter and leaner.
Good job. Okay, after this training cycle, and we just go into like bodybuilding or like 60 to 70%, we probably wouldn't do that. But if we go and we maintain it, going from a 315 to a 405 jump is fine.
Honestly, I think he's only scratched the surface. Troy is only, like I always say, think of it as a child, and he's still in his infancy. I said I want to get him to that next level, but there's still a lot to it that comes into play. And I think starting out, he's doing great, and I think he's amazing, but it's only scratching the surface with that one. But I do think he has potential to compete, and I hope that he believes in himself just as much as I believe in him.
I'm on this trajectory. Eric, Johnny, and I are on this trajectory. Danielle will know what it means soon. She's in her 30s. But there's this age factor, and I have always liked getting older. I've always embraced it, but it does come with a bit of slowing down. And with that comes the need to be healthier. And I think our labs explain all of that. If you haven't gotten your labs in your 40s, I don't know what you're waiting for. But I guarantee you, your doctor is going to say something about exercise, no matter how healthy you think you are. If you are not someone who watches your diet in a good way, and you are someone who can gain weight easily, then your doctor is going to say something. And part of this fitness journey, even though we weren't charged for it, is an active discussion about what it is we put into our bodies and how we assimilate to our age. And it's not easy for everybody, but it's something that we've learned to do with grace, and it's been a rewarding experience, to say the least.
The other ladies that were there, just watching them exercise and pull those weights and push those weights, it was really, really sexy to me.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Physically, I'm stronger, I'm more alert. I don't sleep as much because I'm a sleeper. But most of all, I think the best effect it's had on my well-being or me is mentally. I'm learning how to have structure and exercising. If I don't exercise, then I feel weak or I feel like I didn't accomplish anything.
And I'm so grateful to this class that we had because it started right when Johnny needed it the most. It provided that outlet and that distraction. And so whenever the weight got a little too hard for us, for Johnny, it wasn't hard for her because she just had so much anger to release, so much pent up emotion that she needed to release, and she released it, by bettering herself physically. And then what followed was an emotional betterment that she no longer is struggling with. And it's been such a sight to see. And so she started this entire journey, not really caring about physical fitness, not even thinking that she would last much longer. She's not the kind of person who will, stay with something that's boring. And of all of us, I thought that maybe she would be bored the fastest with this, but she hasn't been. She's actually probably been the most committed and the one who has shown the greatest development and strength. And she's just, I love how happy she is because of this entire class. And I love the sort of back and forth that she and Grace have about life and about all the great things that women can do in life. It really is just so inspirational to hear these stories going back and forth in between the sets between Johnny and Grace. I don't know how else to explain it.
Learning how to ride her.
She was a monster. She has this look, and you're like, I have to do this. and she's there, and you just push yourself and you push yourself, and you don't realize your full potential until you get there. For women and men who are going through some very personal things and trying to figure out where they want to go in life, give CrossFit Hita, Coach Grace, a call and set up a training. It doesn't only transform your body, but also your mind.
Where he was the first week to where he is now is like two totally different people. So when I required him to walk around the building 3 to 4 times with a kettlebell. And I remembered when we started, he had to use like the 13-pound kettlebells. So now he's using, is it the 25 one? The 25 or 26? 33. Oh, now he's a 33-pound kettlebells. And now he does it 3 to 4 times. He used to have to stop and take a break, and he lasts a little bit. His endurance his cardiovascular endurance has definitely increased. I remembered when I had him do step-ups, he was happy with his 10, and now he does 10 and he does it much faster. So as a coach, I'm not just looking as if someone's completing the exercise. I look at it as how long is it taking, how's his breathing, is he hyperventilating? And I noticed too, he doesn't do that much. He's not as winded as he used to be. I wanted him to believe in himself.
Coach Grace, she saw it in the beginning. She said, Eric, you could be the strongest guy on Guam. And I looked at him, I thought, no kidding. No kidding, he really could be. And he was very weak in the beginning. I think the first time he did squats, he couldn't even hold the bar. And Grace had to coach him on how to go through the movements without the bar. But then I thought in the back of my head, that there's got to be a lot of power in Eric. Like, I know Eric can fight. He's not the kind of guy that you want to mess around with. So you know that he has strength. You know that he's got power. But it was harnessing it. And something that I admire about Eric that I didn't tell him about was, it takes one hell of a man. You get all this machismo everywhere you turn, especially on this island. There's a whole lot of machismo. I don't know why, because a lot of times the guys who are all like macho are not even good looking. But so you take someone like Eric. He's a guy who likes to drink beer. He's down to fight to defend his family and his friends, all this stuff, right? And he had not one qualm about listening to a woman tell him how to lift weights. And as a matter of fact, if I'm being 100% honest here, Eric was and still is scared of Grace. He knows that Grace will kick his ass.
What I noticed about big men, not just Guamanian men, but big men in general, they use their size, especially if they've never exercised. Well, I'm just a big boy. Okay, there's a lot of big boys, but why don't you be a big, strong boy, right? So what I wanted him to focus on was how can I take my size and view it differently, and not use it as an excuse as to why I can't get stronger or leaner or tighter. So I said, what if you just lost 10 pounds or 15 pounds or whatever the goal is for the 8 weeks? But instead of focusing on trying to hit that number on the scale, we dial it in and we focus on your form, your technique, and let's just see you move the weight. And he lost weight, and we really didn't focus on the number for him.
So what I'm most excited about was that the first week he couldn't even do that. And it was the mobility thing, and look, now he's squatting. When was the last time you squatted? Did you ever squat?
I told him he could be the strongest guy on Guam if he wanted to.
Yeah!
She's gonna hear this from me, and she's gonna hear it. I think she needs to have a better relationship with food. I still feel that there's opportunity there. And it's not just Danielle, I would want to say a good 80% of my female clients have issues with food. And it's not about overeating. Oftentimes, most of the clients undereat, or they're eating too much of the wrong things. So one of the things that I want to do with her going is continue to train and to continue to understand how we develop muscle, and how if she wants to maintain that going into her 40s, how this needs to be a consistent behavior and pattern.
You got this.
Get there.
You got this.
Get there, baby. Yeah.
Hold it. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Feel the burn. Feel the burn.
One more.
Feel the burn.
By the middle of the program, there was progress. By the middle of the program, everyone was at their own different level of in the program, but for myself, I started to feel a change. I started to become more comfortable in my own skin, and not worrying about the person next to me, the person watching, the videos. You can, like, the slow and gradual change and progression. It felt so much better than something that's like instant gratification. It feels good when you work for something. I was so mean, and I was distant. I made excuses for every time, even when they had appointments and stuff. Even going to the park, I didn't want to be in the sunlight. I wasn't around.
That's your mom.
They can tell. They can tell when I'm sober. So, there have been a couple of issues where I've been questioned whether or not I was sober, and now they stand up for me and they say that they tell whoever that they know I'm not on drugs because I'm around. I'm present in their life.
I've seen her transform in the last 8 weeks into someone so confident. I love that she's sticking to her goals. I love that she's viewing her body differently. I always ask, how do you feel today? And I think that's just a general question that nobody asks. And sometimes I think as human beings, we need to ask that. And I would say, I can tell when she doesn't eat. I can tell when she's tired. I can tell when she has something on her mind. And it doesn't matter if she's working. I've seen her work and be on the phone, and then she'll do that in between her lifts and then go back to it and say, Coach, I gotta go because I need to go to an appointment. And the fact that she's, based on the stories that she's told me about how her life used to be and how she's trying to transform it and be better, I think that's what I'm most proud of.
Are you a proud student?
Yeah, I am.
Coach Grace is a beast. She doesn't take no for an answer either, and she'll trick you. she's a trickster, but it's all for your own benefit. You know, she knows. I think she can tell from your face when you're lifting how much you can handle. It's amazing. I think I was working pretty hard. I am more in control of my body. I am focused, and I am skinnier. Yeah, I look at my legs in the mirror now because I have this full body mirror, and they look like just different. It's a transformation. I can't believe it.
The reason why I think people that are a bit older, and when I say older, let's just say mid-30s, 40s, 50s and above, should try powerlifting, is that we need to be mobile, we need to move, and we need to have functional strength. I started this when I was 35 years old. I'm 44 now, and I actually feel healthier at my age than I did in my 30s. So even though I was in my 30s and I was I was working a lot, I was moving a lot, it's not the same. I've been at HITA now since last August, late July, and I feel very blessed to have a home where I can coach the way I want to coach, and where the owners trust that I will do right by them. And I love that I can train comfortably and do what I want and be able to educate others in a very comfortable and safe setting. If anyone wants to join powerlifting or try powerlifting in a class-like setting, they can reach out to CrossFit HITA. Either go onto the social media pages on Instagram or Facebook, send a DM, and then we can give those interested individuals the information. If someone wants to either do one-on-one sessions or group sessions in a smaller, I'm maxing it at 4 people, they can directly send me a DM on Instagram, Vegas Grace or Grace Death Method on Instagram.